Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show. Oh boy.
The Mummy.
Was this a movie?
Yep. So, we just saw The Mummy last night.
Well, hold on.
What?
You're Nolan. I'm Niall.
Yep.
We're gonna do a spoiler-free review, as always. And then we'll splash up spoiler warning. We'll do a more in-depth review of the movie. That is not spoiler free.
Yeah.
Not that there's a whole lot of plot here to spoil. Because just get right into it. The story's not great.
It's very predictable.
Very predictable.
If
you've seen the trailers, which if you've been to the movies or been on YouTube in the last month and a half, you've seen the trailer. You cannot get away from the damn thing.
Right. Because Universal's really pushing this. This is the first in their Dark Universe. That's what they're calling it, Dark Universe or Dark World?
Dark Universe.
Dark Universe. World. So this is the first, and it sort of sets up the world. And it's yes, like I said, it's very predictable. There's nothing original, no original ideas coming out of this.
Here's the thing though, like, I could deal with a predictable storyline.
Yeah.
If it were just good.
Yeah.
Like, The Force Awakens had a predictable storyline because they were taking a lot of cues from previous Star Wars movies, but it was still a good story. This movie.
Right. This movie
is not good.
The broad story is it does its job. It works for what it's trying to do. It's a lot of the little stuff in there, and we'll get into that in the spoiler portion.
There's a lot
of problems I had with the writing in this movie. That being said, let's see. The acting is okay. It's passable. There's no like bad performances really. Tom Cruise's usual intense self. He gets to run. I think it's in his contract. I don't know what he would do with himself if he were not allowed to run in a movie. But he gets to do that. The visual effects were for the most part, perfectly fine. But there was like all the big visual effects set pieces were like taken straight from the Brendan Fraser movie. Like I'd seen this before when Brendan Fraser did it, and that movie at least had the pulp era setting to fall back on that sort of added like that little bit of campiness and that little like Indiana Jones kind of feel to it, This doesn't. It's set in modern times, and it's like this gray backdrop everywhere, or a brown backdrop when they're in the Middle East.
Yeah, so it's like the Brendan Fraser The Mummy. And granted, it's been a very, very long time since I've seen it. And I've only seen the first one. It was sort of cheesy and campy, but in that like pulp sort of way, and it was done, at least I think it was done purposely.
Yeah, and so it was fun to watch, whereas this wasn't
even fun to watch.
But
you said the plot was predictable. I just want to point out one thing real quick. There was one plot element that neither of us saw coming. I'm just gonna throw that out there, but it was not a major. It was not like a major. Like, I guess it was a fairly big thing,
right?
But it wasn't like major to the plot of this movie. It was a fairly significant thing to the plot of the Dark Universe series of movies. Well, don't want to ruin
Alright.
it. We'll get over that. We'll get to that in the spoilers. But yeah. But otherwise, I mean, everything was super predictable.
Yeah, and this movie pulled double duty of setting up some background for the Dark Universe, which I'm sure you can draw from the trailer. There's like this organization that fights monsters, and you see in the trailer there's like a vampire head and a skull.
A vampire head and a skull.
Yeah, vampire head and a skull. Vampire skull in a jar.
There you go.
Let's vampire head and a skull.
Yep. It's a vampire skull in a jar.
Vampire skull in a jar. There's a flipper from the creature from the Black Lagoon in a jar.
There's what may or may not be Frankenstein's monster in a big box. But anyway, yeah, they're building up this organization that hunts monsters because that's what the Dark Universe is going to be. Is all the classic movie monsters are getting their own universe because why the hell not? Marvel has its whole thing, DC has its thing. Universal doesn't own a major comic book company to make a big movie series out of. So.
Even the Toho monsters are getting their own universe.
Yeah, so
who is that? Universal too?
I thought that was Paramount.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I just know Universal had King Kong before, but King Kong is public domain, so they which they found out when they tried to sue Nintendo
over Donkey Kong. Yep.
Actually, no, they found out before that when they got sued.
Right, and they used that as their
defense. Used that as their excuse, and then they tried to sue Nintendo over the same thing.
That's a story for a different podcast or show or whatever.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, I'm looking up Kong Skull Island right now and see if I can see who made it. So there was one neat thing in the story that we both thought was actually kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, that we liked this concept.
And this might be very mild. It was a Village Roadshow that did Kong Skull Island.
Yeah, but who's the distributor?
Anyway, hold on, I'll continue. But it was Warner Brothers.
Okay.
So, that did Kong Skull Island. So, I don't think it's really ruining or spoiling anything because you find out like 5 minutes into the movie. But Tom Cruise's character, Nick Morton, and what was his buddy's name?
Chris Vail.
Chris Vail.
Yeah, Jake Johnson.
They're both advanced recon for the U.S. Army, and they're going around Iraq stealing Mesopotamian artifacts and having it covered up by insurgents going through and destroying Mesopotamian artifacts.
Well, they're staying one step ahead of like ISIS, who is
whomever. I don't think they
never specify. Yeah, but that's something ISIS is doing, is destroying antiquities from the region.
Right.
And so they're staying a step ahead, stealing these artifacts and selling them on the black market.
Right. So and their exploits doing that is what uncovers the tomb of the mummy, who I would like to point out is not really a mummy.
Well, that's a spoiler.
Okay. Let me clarify in that it's not a plot point that she's not a mummy. They're wrong about mummification is what it is.
Right.
But we'll get more into that in the spoilers. Yeah, it's not a plot point that she's not really a mummy. As far as they're concerned in the movie, she's a mummy.
But in reality, there are 0 mummies in this movie.
Yes. We'll get into that more in the spoiler part. Let's see. But yeah, I mean the movie it's rough. The pacing is
pacing's okay.
It felt really rushed in a lot of parts.
Yeah. The third act felt like really slapped together. It I don't know. I just didn't really. I would never want to watch it again.
Yeah.
If I can walk out of a bad movie and be like, would I ever watch that again? Yeah, then it's an okay movie.
Yeah.
But this isn't even that. Like, I have no desire to ever see this movie again.
Right.
I really don't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
And as is my thing with movies, I also have to complain about the guns in this movie because that's what I do. Um, so Tom Cruise, like, yeah, Tom Cruise for sure is using a Scar rifle. It's made by Fabrique Nationale. Jake Johnson, I didn't get a good look at his gun.
I think he's using the same gun.
I think he was probably using the same gun. I didn't get a good look at it, so I'll give that one the benefit of the doubt. But for certain, Tom Cruise is using a Scar. You see that in the trailers. See, because when they first start, they're talking at the beginning. They're very clearly military of some kind, because they're talking about reporting to command and whatnot. And I was
and he refers to Tom Cruise as sergeant.
right. He refers to Jake Johnson refers to Tom Cruise as sergeant. So, when I saw them running around with a Scar, I leaned over to you and I said, "Man, I really hope these guys are PMC or private military company." Because no military in the world that I know of has adapted the Scar. Not even our special forces have adapted the Scar, or they did, or they were going to, and then canceled, something like that. Anyway, but no military in the world is using the Scar. There are a lot of PMCs that use them, but no military uses them. So they're running around with it. Like it's one of those things. Like there was no plot reason that he needed to have a Scar. They could have used any other modern assault rifle. Really, I mean, it didn't have to be a Scar. They're suitably. Like I get they wanted to. I guess it's supposed to be maybe a little bit in the future. Because, like, some of the technology involved with the monster hunting agency...
Yeah, whatever they were called, I don't even know.
...is, I guess, kind of... sci-fi-ish, but not really.
Not
but
terribly so.
Yeah, but, I mean, they're suitably advanced...
Nothing you have to really suspend your disbelief much for.
Right. But they
don't have, like, holographic displays or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, I mean, there's literally no good reason for him to be using the Scar. Anyway, that's just my normal complaint involving guns in movies.
Yeah. Well, is that really all we have to say about reviewing it?
I think that's all we can say about this movie without spoiling it, because man, is there a lot to pick apart in this movie, but it gets into the specifics of the plot.
Yeah, so spoiler warning right here.
Oh, we'll say though, there wasn't anything like that stood out as bad as far as the acting goes.
No.
So, there's that.
Even Sophia, what's her name?
Patella?
Patella, yeah. Who isn't the greatest actress, but she's never done a bad job, I don't think. I've never seen her do a bad performance. She's not like a great actress otherwise.
Yeah, but you also haven't seen her do a whole lot.
That's true. And she's usually cast for her physical abilities because of her dance background and whatnot. Although I didn't see her, she didn't do anything in this that would warrant that. Like the Mummy didn't do anything particularly physical.
No,
in
not
this,
really.
I can only assume that because of where she's from, that she's Armenian, right?
Yes. Algerian.
Yeah, not Armenian. Algerian, I meant.
Yeah, Algerian.
I knew.
You knew. You totally knew.
Anyway, the other A country. No, yeah, she's Algerian and geographically fairly close to Egypt. So,
I mean, Hollywood just wants to make sure they have the right colored skin tone to be believable. Let's be honest.
Right, but you're not going to get anyone really complaining that they didn't cast someone of they cast a they white. They're not going to get people complain about whitewashing.
Correct.
With casting her, so I think that was another reason why they cast her is because of her ethnicity, which makes sense. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So spoiler warning from here on out.
Yep. All right, so let's see.
Okay, so first of all, there are no mummies in this movie.
No. So, if you didn't see the movie yet, and you're listening to this because you really just don't care, A, probably a good call. B, So, in the part where it's explaining the background
Yeah,
of
in
the
the prologue
mummy,
portion.
the Queen Amenet or whatever, in the prologue of the part of the movie, and it's showing her. Basically, she was to be a queen of
Egypt.
Egypt.
She
And,
was, yeah, her father was the pharaoh,
right.
and her mother died in childbirth, so she was going to inherit the throne, but her father's second wife had a son.
Right. So she made a deal with Set, um, to give her power, and in exchange, she would create a vessel for him to inhabit in this mortal world.
And then she killed her father, stepmother, and brother.
Right.
And then so the people, before she could summon Set into the world, some people came in, grabbed her, and it says she was mummified alive. No.
That's not how
Not how mummification
literally
works.
impossible to mummify someone alive. You can kill someone during the process of mummifying them. The very early steps, actually, because they will die very quickly when you start pulling out all of their organs.
But all they did was wrap her in gauze and throw her in a sarcophagus and bury her. That's not mummification.
They buried her alive.
They buried her alive. They did not mummify her.
Yes.
Mummification requires embalming.
Yep, involves pulling out all the ooey gooey bits inside, drying you out real good.
There can be no moisture in your body. They stuff you with stuff to keep you dry. They wrap you in gauze to keep you dry, and then they bury you. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't be mummified alive. You can't be having. And then they took her to before they buried her, they like drug her off into
Persia
or no, Mesopotamia
at the time, yeah,
and buried her, so modern day Iraq.
Yeah, in northern Iraq.
And that's why Tom Cruise found her in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like they mentioned that, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah, both of us went, what? No, they didn't.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Here's another thing about this. So what I don't understand is why she made the deal with Set. What did Set give her that she couldn't get on her own? She kills off her father, stepmother, and brother, and
while they're all sleeping.
It's
not like she needed power to to beat them in a fight or anything.
Right, and then I thought, okay, well, maybe Set would offer her power against any uprising that might happen, but you know how much regicide went on in ancient Egypt? A lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of regicide. I don't think it would really be an issue, because she would be Pharaoh, and who's going to argue against Pharaoh? The gods have made Pharaoh God on earth, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that... I don't understand why she made a deal with Set. That was never explained to me. And so Tom Cruise is supposed to be the new vessel for Set, right? And here's another plot point I don't get. So Russell Crowe, Dr. Jekyll. That's the big thing you were the reveal that we're like, oh, if we had looked on IMDb beforehand,
we really didn't give a shit about this movie. I'm going to be perfectly honest and upfront about that. Like, going into it, we didn't care about this movie, so we've not been looking up anything on it. We haven't been looking up on anything on IMDb. If we would have gone on to IMDb and gone, oh look, the second person billed is Russell Crowe as Dr. Henry Jekyll.
Yeah, so that would not have been
a surprise to us.
So if you went to IMDb before going to see the movie, then maybe that wasn't a spoiler. But we were like, oh wow, okay, Dr. Jekyll, that's kind of cool. Anyway, so his plan, because Amenet wants to redo the ritual to bring Set into the world, Dr. Jekyll's plan is to also do the ritual and then destroy Tom Cruise's body, and thus destroying Set. I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. All his body would be a vessel for a god. You kill the vessel, the god just goes back to wherever the god's from, right? That's what makes sense. I don't see why that would work.
Russell Crowe's determined that, or Dr. Jekyll's determined that if they can destroy Set. Well, is it
Because
that they'll destroy all evil, or just
because
like
he believes
a lot of evil?
Set is the same being as Satan.
Oh yeah,
and Hades. He believes they're all the same being.
That's right.
And so it would destroy Satan, which
right.
would destroy evil. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I'm just throwing this out there. You destroy the vessel, the body that the devil inhabits, and the devil just goes back to hell. And
that's how it worked in Crossroads, right?
That's how it works in every movie. So I don't know why it'd be different in this.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Tom Cruise and Jake Johnson in their, brash way attack a village, an insurgent village trying to find artifacts, and an airstrike gets called in at some point by Jake Johnson. A Hellfire missile comes down from a drone, which, like, man, that drone got there real quick. And shoots one missile at the town, or I guess a couple of missiles. All the insurgents drive off, but it uncovers the tomb where the not mummy was buried.
Amunet. The non-mummy Amunet was buried, yeah. And so they wrapped her in gauze while alive, threw her in a sarcophagus while alive and not mummified.
Her off to
and then hauled her off to Mesopotamia
because they wanted her far away from Egypt.
Right. Built this like tomb with these huge statues of Egyptian gods all over the place in there, and then submerged her in mercury.
Which, according to the movie, I don't know how true this is, but according to the movie, the Egyptians thought that mercury like warded off evil spirits or something.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, that they believe that or not. But the casket, a sarcophagus, is submerged in a pool of mercury, and for whatever reason, there's like this system that cycles the mercury, so it like
is constantly flowing.
That might help.
With the evil spirits, you mean?
Yeah, with the evil spirits.
Okay, yeah.
And then it's surrounded by statues of Anubis, who's the guardian to hell. Were they statues of Anubis or Set?
They called them Watchers.
Yeah, but Anubis is the jackal-headed god that guards I think he guards the gates to hell, and he takes the spirits from the living world to hell or something.
Something like that.
Anyway, they're watching her, and then there's like this big like chain surrounding, and one thing I don't get, so Tom Cruise like cuts this like rope, and there's this pulley system that lifts the sarcophagus out of the mercury pool, and I'm like, why?
If they wanted to keep her
down there, why do they have a mechanism for pulling her out?
Yeah.
That what's the point?
Yeah, so within that scene, though, was one of the major plot points that bothered me the most.
Mm.
So they raise the thing out, which like looses a bunch of camel spiders, which whatever, and they all come crawling down the walls and everything, and they're stepping on them. Jake Johnson gets bit by one,
and he starts shooting at him.
But he gets bit by one, which curses him. So I was like, okay, these camel spiders, are influenced by the not mummy, whatever, right? I don't understand what curses Tom Cruise.
Because he's the one that released Amunet. He cut the rope, which unleashed the mechanism that pulled her out. He's responsible for pulling her out, and so she...
sure, but all three of them were in that room, and it's not like he ever made contact with the chain, or even... he wasn't even in contact with the thing that actually broke the chain, because he shot the chain.
Right.
It just doesn't make... That leap of logic there was just not...
She picked him because he was the handsomest guy in the room?
I mean, that's fair.
Um, I think she even said something like he, is a physical specimen that's superb enough to hold Set's form or something like that. I don't know. But so for the ritual, they need the dagger of Set, which is this gnarly looking like bone dagger.
And they need the ruby that goes in the hilt.
The ruby that goes in the hilt, which
It's a big damn stone.
well, some knights
Yeah, during the Second Crusade, some Templar knights
took the stone
took the stone
to England.
back to England with them, and one of them was buried with it after his death.
Oh yeah, and all this digging of the new tube in London uncovers the burial.
Right, which is
chamber.
something that's actually been happening. They've been uncovering
Dogs at the door.
dogs scratching at the door. They've been uncovering burial sites that were unmarked during the construction of this. In fact, didn't they find a king or some royalty that was buried under a parking lot or something?
I don't know. I am not caught up on the events of this.
You're not caught up on your what England has found in their ground news.
No. I did see though when they were. This is off topic, but I did see though where they were boring this new like tunnel, and it's like going between like the escalators for one metro station and then like another tunnel somewhere.
It's going between the tunnel going into a station and the escalators that go down into that station from street level.
Right, and there's like a foot clearance or something.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. Anyway,
but yeah, so they inadvertently uncover this Templar burial site. The monster hunting agency comes in and claims possession of it, presumably because they're looking for. We find out that they're looking for that gem, I guess, or something.
Yeah, well, you find out that the woman who's an archaeologist. So like the reason Tom Cruise and Jake Johnson are in this village is because Tom Cruise stole a map from this archaeologist.
Jenny Halsey?
Yeah,
played by Annabelle Wallace.
Anyway, so she's an archaeologist and she's working for this organization trying to find the map to this location was on the wall in that crypt. Right. So they send her to go find whatever's there. So and that kicks off the whole thing. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So they pull the sarcophagus out of that temple or that tomb in Iraq, fly it back to England. Along the way, the plane gets downed by the magical abilities of Not Mummy, and which you could easily see was the case from the trailer, and the fact that they were making such a big deal out of that plane going down.
Yeah, they gotta get their money's worth because they rented that plane where they astronauts tested.
That's what I'm saying. The vomit comet is what it's colloquially known as. The one that does the parabolic curves downwards that you falling in 0G or whatever.
Yeah, and there's also some gimbal work because it rotates and they're like running around.
Well, that whole thing was. I mean, all of that was. The whole thing was practical. And
which kudos to that.
Yeah, kudos to that. Unnecessary. but I guess it looked good. B, they were making such a big deal out of that everyone was just like, well, I guess the plane crashes.
Yeah.
You know, like,
And we knew from the trailer that the plane crashes and Tom Cruise wakes up in a morgue.
yep,
So we knew he was cursed.
right, because that's the only thing that explains that
Right.
in this setting, anyway.
Uh
So he wakes up in the morgue.
yeah, they were conveniently flying the C-130 England.
Well, yeah, because they were flying it in for because
Right, because she was taking the mummy
to that organization.
Okay.
I don't even remember what they were called.
I don't remember, it was a Latin word. Okay, so the next plot point, which is dumb. All right, so they capture the mummy. This organization, they capture the non-mummy,
Right.
Aminette, and they chain her to this like floor, and they're going to embalm her with mercury. All right, so this is her first embalming.
It's not even really an embalming because you need
Right. Well, what they're saying though is they're embalming her with mercury. Really, they're doing a transfusion of mercury.
Yeah.
The thing is,
They're just pumping.
they're pumping her
through
full of
here.
mercury, right? But it takes like hours, which is dumb. You know how long it takes to just like. It doesn't take that long to just like pump you full of mercury.
Yeah.
There's not that much space in the human body. There's not. I mean, how many gallons of blood are there in the human body?
Yeah.
It's not like they're trying to be careful. They don't want to like, oh, let's do this medically. We don't want to like burst her open or anything.
Right.
You know, so it's like it takes so long for them to do it that she devises a plan for escape. And we have all these, and I know it takes a long time because we have all these subplots going on. And
Also, it's not like Sophia Batella's a very large person.
no.
He's like shorter than me, and I'm pretty short.
I was like, why is it taking so long to do this?
Yeah, but she yeah, that plot point was another situation of like, really? And then I mean, from there the rest of the movie's kind of a jumbled mess.
Mm-hmm.
She obviously breaks out and goes to retrieve the dagger and she gets the dagger because they had it there at that facility where
Right.
she was, and then she's going to where the knight's crypt is to get the gem, which
I guess she can just sense where it's at. That's why she forced the plane down where it was. Because she forced the plane down on top of this church where the dagger was hidden.
yeah.
Because the Knights Templar took the dagger there, and then the jewel somewhere else. So she can sense its location. And then also Tom Cruise is seeing the ghost of his buddy Jake Johnson, who she is using to like lure him to her.
Yeah. Because he's basically saying, like, well, he's like, you can't beat her, and once I get you lured to her, my job is done, and I can move on.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and she's also, resurrecting the dead all along the way, too.
Yeah, well, she, like, does this, when she first, like, crawls out of the wreckage, and she's, like, this crispy, husky thing, she, like, grabs guys and, like, makes out with them and, like, sucks the life out of them, and then they turn into, like, these zombies. But after that, she can just, like, anyone who is dead, just turn into a zombie.
When she's regained her full power or whatever.
Right, she just turns anybody she wants into a zombie.
Yeah, so she's like, resurrecting these Templar Knights, and she's resurrecting the goons for that monster hunting organization that she's killing along the way. She gets the ruby, puts it in the dagger, goes to kill Tom Cruise with it.
Well, perform the ritual, yeah.
Perform the ritual.
He fights her. She kicks his ass. Okay, people get thrown around.
Oh my god. Just like heads smashed into things. in this movie.
What's her name? The archaeologist.
Archaeologist.
She gets thrown so hard that she smashes a pew in a church.
Yeah.
Pews are pretty heavy duty.
Yeah.
Right? It just shatters this pew, and that she just gets up and runs away from it. I was
like she fell on a pile of balsa wood.
I was like, hold on. Tom Cruise gets like smashed bodily into
look, man,
stuff.
you could smash most people into an IKEA chair and they wouldn't be getting up right away.
Right. But that pew disintegrates, and so she had to hit that thing pretty hard.
Yeah. Tom Cruise gets his head smashed into a stone sarcophagus in that Templar tomb.
He gets thrown into it, and like his back hits the corner of it too, and he goes like over it. I'm like, oh god, he just have a broken back
and a broken skull.
Yeah.
So, as long as his head's not inside that skull.
Mm-hmm. Right. Only vampires.
Only vampires can have heads inside of skulls. So,
although I'm convinced Tom Cruise, he's either a vampire or he's doing some sort of ritual where virgins are sacrificed to him or something to retain his youth.
Yeah.
Because he's still playing characters like 30 years younger than him.
This is true. So, so he's fighting the chick, the not mummy. He ends up stabbing himself so that he can get the power of Set. And he uses that to
suck the life out of
Amunet,
and then give life back into Ginny, because she had died along the way. Because he has the power over life and death. And then he is like, I guess both of them are inhabiting his body, and he's like fighting for control, like sometime between himself and Set inside his body.
Sure.
I think that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And he's like hidden in the shadows, like, no, I'm a monster now, and he like runs off, and he goes and he resurrects his buddy, and then they're off in like Iraq again, doing whatever. I don't know. I think he's looking for some sort of cure for the curse, maybe.
Yeah.
But then like Russell Crowe said something about like sometimes you have to become a monster to fight a monster, so he may be a great ally in the future. So he'll come back in some sequel, probably.
Yeah.
Or not a sequel because it's, or maybe, I don't know. But they're doing this combined universe. So like the next movie is Bride of Frankenstein,
which I'm real curious what the justification is going to be for doing Bride of Frankenstein before doing a Frankenstein movie. My guess is that the events of Frankenstein happen some years before the events of the movie, because we really don't need another Frankenstein movie.
Yeah, we all know what goes on. I know Javier Bardem's playing the monster.
Oh, they do have a Frankenstein film planned. Look at that right there, Untitled Frankenstein film.
Yeah, but it's not
for a while.
Not for a while.
Yeah, so
I know Johnny Depp's the Invisible Man.
Well, I was gonna point this out to you. So they have all these movies planned.
Mm-hmm.
And what I don't get though is there gonna be some big thing where they all come together like the Avengers?
And do what?
I don't know, but I don't understand.
Are we gonna start? Are they gonna fight Laurel and Hardy? I mean,
they're gonna fight the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. No, it's just like maybe this Van Helsing movie could have multiple monsters in it, because I just don't really see the point in bothering having this connected world. At least with the Tojo monsters, eventually we're gonna have King Kong fighting Godzilla, and that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, but I like way back in the day when they were like doing cash grabs, they did have like Dracula versus the Wolfman and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's how Dark Horse wound up doing Alien versus Predator, and look what that got them.
Right, but some of these that aren't really monsters. Phantom of the Opera and Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Although the end when like Tom Cruise is like, it had a very Phantom of the Opera feel to it. He's got like half his face covered, and he's like hidden in the shadows, and he's like, "No, I am. Stay away from me. I'm too hideous for you." And they're underground at the time, so I don't know. I think there's like grasping at straws for some of these movies. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, in particular.
Yeah. Sanctuary.
So I don't know. I'm kind of actually looking forward to the Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I think that one's. I think it's been the longest since we've had that as a movie, right?
Yeah, there were two. Last appearance, The Creature Walks Among Us. There were three Creature movies.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, as far as like this organization is not very original. We've seen this a million times in other movies and comic books and stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's the Men in Black. It's the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Development. It's the Van Helsing Institute.
Organization. The Helsing Organization.
Helsing Organization. Wasn't there something that had the Van Helsing Institute, though?
Probably, but if you're thinking from the anime Helsing, it's the Helsing Organization.
Let's see. Let's try spelling Helsing correctly. Yeah, it's been a lot of things have been this. Have been this organization.
Right. It's nothing original at all, which is okay. I mean, when you need that sort of organization, you can't do it originally anymore.
Right.
It's not an original idea.
Oh, I remember what I was thinking of it from. It's from Monster Hunter International.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's the British government sponsored Paranormal Research Institute.
Right.
In England. That's what I was thinking of, the Van Helsing Institute.
Okay, so
yeah, it's just that's not particularly.
And they're headed by Dr. Jekyll.
That was actually kind of neat. Like
that was neat, and then he turned into Mr. Hyde for a bit, and that was
cool.
That was cool.
It explains why there's footage of Russell Crowe just
throwing Tom Cruise around.
Yeah,
just picks him up and just hurls him around. Russell Crowe's a pretty big guy, though. Like, he's much bigger than Tom Cruise.
He is. But still.
Well, did you see, like, that suit he was in? Like, I was like, man, that suit's kind of snug. Like, he looks like just a big dude in that suit.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, like, some forced perspective stuff just to make Russell Crowe look that much bigger.
Right. But, yeah... There's not really much more to say. Oh, the thing with the two irises, like the mummy, like,
serves no purpose.
It serves no. Well, there's a condition in real life where you have multiple irises.
Yeah.
And all it does is make whatever eye that's in, because it's usually not in both, be more sensitive light because more light's getting in. But that other iris is not lined up with the cornea.
Well, I mean,
so it doesn't have. You don't have any vision out of it.
You don't know that she doesn't have a second set of cornea in each eye.
I guess I don't, but I'm just saying, in real life, people with that condition, they don't see out of that iris.
Right. Well, like I said, you don't know that she doesn't have a second set of cornea back there. I'm just saying.
Is there room for another set of cornea?
Sure. It's not like she was full of embalming fluid. There's plenty of room in there. I'm trying for the life of me. Formaldehyde was what I was trying to remember. It's what you need to embalm someone. You need formaldehyde.
Right.
But yeah, it's I cannot recommend enough that you do not see this movie.
No, it's pretty bad. It's apparently, though, enough people are liking it that it's got like a 6 on IMDb, so more than half of people are saying it's okay, saying it's all right.
Yeah. Well, I saw someone today when I was on Facebook earlier, and someone pointed out that I guess it has its Rotten Tomato score is apparently just abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is typically harsher on movies than like any other um movie review place.
Right.
But it was like a 30 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I'll just go ahead and look it up right now. Whatever it has on Rotten Tomatoes. But um, someone commented on it, say like, "Oh, well, I don't trust people online who review movies. You know, like I always like to see for myself." My comment is like, "Yeah, except this is legitimately a bad movie. Like I get that, I understand that. Um,
Well, I never look at reviews before I see a movie.
No.
Personally.
No, neither do I. Oh gosh,
It dropped.
17%. Maybe it was never high, and I just didn't remember. But jeez,
Ugh.
ugh. Um, but anyway, yeah. I mean, this is. I'm the same way. Like, I don't let bad reviews online tell me otherwise. But this is it deserves it. Let's just say.
Yeah, it's not
Oh
good.
boy, is it rough?
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So what's the movie next week that we're seeing?
Cars 3?
Cars 3.
I think it's the only thing next week.
Man, I hope it's.
It'll be a better movie than this.
It'll be a better movie than this. It just still doesn't look like a great movie.
I didn't think it needed to be made. The thing is, it's the Cars movies are John Lasseter's passion projects.
Yes.
They're the only reason he's the only reason any of them have been made.
Right.
And so being head of Disney Animation now, not just Pixar, but Disney
Right.
Animation, he picks the movies that get made, and so the Cars movies are just going to get made.
When John Lasseter says jump, everyone asks how far. You know?
Until a Cars movie is made that loses money, Disney's just going to let them.
Yeah.
But
it just bothers me because it's like the second one wasn't great. Sure as hell wasn't as good as the first one.
it didn't have the heart.
It didn't have the heart. It didn't need to be made. Like the first Cars movie is like such a complete story.
Mm-hmm.
Everything gets wrapped up so well.
Yeah, well, I mean, the second one is Mater's story, but
that's true. But
we can get in this when we do the Cars 3 review.
This is true. But I would just like to point out that a third Cars movie is getting made, and we still don't have Incredibles 2.
That is true.
Just throwing that out there.
Incredibles 2. Incredibles is definitely one of the best Pixar movies out there.
It's, in my opinion, the best Pixar movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see that next week and get into that. And then what else is even coming out this month? I don't even know. So
week after, we got a couple things, don't we?
Let's see. Let me see the coming soon list here. So, Transformers is the week after next.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. Oh man, that's another one that looks rough.
Yeah.
But then the week after that is Baby Driver, and I'm very excited about that. So we'll be doing reviews on all of those movies coming up. Those will be our next 3: Cars 2, Transformers, and Baby Driver.
We'll probably see Despicable Me 3 at some point.
Yeah, I can't imagine there'll be a whole lot that we'll have to say on that.
Yeah.
Be like Baywatch, it'll be a short one.
Yeah.
So look for those to come. So if you like this, go ahead and comment below. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. Subscribe. It'll help us out. Help us get some more exposure, and we'd appreciate that. And also check out some of the other stuff we've got. We do have some original content coming. it's coming along very handsomely, I must say. So that'll probably be up this coming week,
Yeah, probably.
probably. And then you know, we'll continue Talos Project or Talos Principle streams till we beat that game as well, and move on to something else on Sunday nights. And I will keep. I'm gonna keep playing Battlegrounds, and it doesn't hurt me to record it. So anything I find interesting in that, I'll keep recording and putting up. So, but hoping to be producing more stuff going forward. So you want to be caught up with that or notified when that stuff gets posted, go ahead and hit subscribe. And we'll be back next week for
Cars
Cars
3.
3.
Cars 3.
Cars 3.
Vroom vroom.